Let's make a Mexican clay sun. These suns originate in Mexico, where they are still made by artists today. They are sold to bring good luck to a house, so they're usually hung outside. Now in Mexico, there's a city named Metepec that has a lot of red clay in their soil. That is perfect for creating these ceramic suns. Let's take a look at some examples of some of these Mexican ceramic clay sun sculptures. This one's different because it shows the sun and the moon combined, so if you want to do that, you may. Let's talk about the learning goals for this assignment. On day 1, I would like you to sketch a sun that has simple, large patterns, and I would like you to practice creating a sun in oil clay and practice making marks with clay tools to get a feel for mark making. And I would like you to practice creating a low relief eyes, nose, and mouth. For day 2, I would like you to use clay tools and processes correctly because that is the day we will be creating in clay. I would also like you to create a ceramic Mexican sun in one class that shows good craftsmanship, proper tool use, low relief additions to the eyes, nose, and mouth, and correct mark making with clay tools. On day 3, I would like you to paint the ceramic clay sun with good craftsmanship. So we're on day 1, so we're going to get some ideas on how we can sketch out a sun that we would like to create in clay next week. So you will get your choice of a circle tracer or a sun shape and a piece of sketch paper. Now you can choose what shape you prefer, but I'm going to show you the circle tracer. So trace your circle and then write your name on your paper. So when you sketch your design today, keep in mind that you're going to be using these tools next week to create marks that could look like this. Also, a low relief is forms that stick out slightly from the background, which you will also take into consideration when you are sketching today. Here is another example of a sculpture that shows the forms popping out from the background a little bit. This has low relief. So in your packet you will see some idea sheets with eyes, nose, mouth, and different embellishments that you can put on your sun. So the first half of class today, you are going to sketch out simple, large facial features for your sun that you can easily recreate in clay, either by low relief or using your clay tools that I showed you. So this dot tool made all these little marks. So if you liked those dots, you can add those to your sketch as well, wherever you like. The wire clay tool is great for making these straight lines. So on my sketch, I know I would like to do this in clay, so I'm going to include some straight lines on my sketch. When you're done, raise your hand and let me check out your sketch. If I give you the thumbs up, I'm going to bring you some oil clay. Now oil clay doesn't dry out and it is not what we will be using next week. You have to warm it up in your hands to make it pliable, which means it can change shape. So make sure you do this with your clay so when you press it down, it can actually move. Make sure that you use your thumb and your fingers to make it into a cookie shape but also rip some off so you can practice your low relief eyes, nose, and mouth. Now when you do this, it shouldn't make any noise on the tables. We're not slapping drums in the music room. Just press down quietly or use your thumbs. Get those fingers practicing how to create with clay so they are ready to go next week. The smaller piece you can use to create your low relief pieces. Remember, a low relief is forms that pop off the background just a little bit. Whatever shape nose you like. Oil clay sticks really good. Make sure that it is popping off the background a little bit. Roll your coils to create eyebrows or mouths. Rip apart pieces with your fingers. Form it, bend it, and stick it to your clay sun. Remember, your eyes, nose, and mouth have to be forms that are in low relief. I am forming another coil to create a mouth. Then I will go back in and use my wire clay tool to add a line to it. Today is the day to practice using your tools to see what marks they make. If you don't like them, just press back down and smooth them out and try again. Try to see what the wire clay tool looks like. Now don't press all the way down to the table. Just press slightly to make a little mark on your clay sun. If you press all the way down to the table, it will cut your piece in half and it will not stay in one piece. We do not want this to fall apart, so please be super careful when using the wire clay tool. Alright, now that you have practiced creating an oil clay, today we will begin to create an actual white clay. So I'm going to call the quietest ready table over to my clay table to pick up their clay mat and their slab of clay and whatever shape sun you would like to create. You are going to place your tracer on top of your slab, and with your wire clay tool you will start to cut out the edges of your shape. Now I'm going to demonstrate on the spiky sun shape, but you might choose the circle shape. Set your extra pieces to the side because we will use them in a minute. Then smooth out the edges with your finger so they are not too rough when your clay project is fired in the kiln. So just like last week when you practiced, form your low relief forms out of a small piece of extra clay. But this week it might dry out, so you might have to take a little dip of water just with your finger, not too much, and moisten your clay. Now, different than oil clay, you're going to have to use slip. Slip is just watered down clay. You're going to use this scrub brush to add some texture and some glue made out of watery glue to stick down any forms that are in low relief. Make sure to press down a little bit so it sticks to the background. Just like last week when you practiced, you can roll coils if you want and attach them with the slip. Now I like to call it scratch and attach. So you might hear me say that to remind you to use your slip. Now that I've smoothed everything down, I'm going to go in with my wire clay tool and draw some lines around the eyes and the lips. In your clay toolkit, you will also find a marker cap, which is perfect for creating little indentations for the eyes. Make sure you do not press all the way through the clay to the table. Just do a little press to make a little indentation in your clay. Now let's try out the dot printing tool. You can use this however you like. Make sure again you are not pressing all the way through your clay project. Just a little bit to make a little mark on the surface of your clay. Do not plunge it all the way through so it hits the table. So now I'm just making tiny dots around the outside edges just to make a little slightly different look. Fill in as much as you can, but remember, we only have this one class to work. When it is time to clean up, you are going to pick up your clay sun with 2 hands and bring it over to the finished clay project table behind the smartboard. Over there you're going to find a small piece of paper and a marker that you will write your name on the piece of paper and set your clay project on top of the paper and leave it at the finished clay table. Then you will go back to your table and pick up your clay mat and your clay scraps and bring them both back to the clay table. After you've cleaned up your spot at your table, if you want to wash your hands, there can be no more than 4 people in line. If there's already 4 people, you have to stay at your table and keep checking to see when it is clear for you to join the line. You will have to stand on a black dot that is stuck to the floor. Make sure you're at the sink for 10 seconds, then use 1 paper towel, dry your hands off and throw it in the trash can and sit back down. Alright, quiet ready tables, start right away. Let's see who's ready to create.